With San Francisco set to kick off training camp tomorrow, one of the biggest question marks on the offensive side of the ball was what exactly they were going to do at the wide receiver position. Not only is Brandon Ayuk on the physically unable to perform list, but surprisingly, Ricky Pearsall was placed on there, and Jauan Jennings is currently negotiating his contract. So San Francisco signed Equanimeous St. Brown from the New Orleans Saints. And while he hasn't had a true breakout year at the NFL level, he comes in at 6'5", weighing 215 pounds, and he's an athletic freak. He ran his 40-yard dash in 4.48 seconds, and he put up the bench press 20 times. Which is why he received a relative athleticism score of 9.84 out of 10, meaning headed into San Francisco's offense, I think he can have a real breakout year, especially with the opportunities ahead of him, and his tape tells the same story. So in this video, I want to dive a little bit more deeply into the player that is Equanimeous St. Brown, go over his strengths, his weaknesses, and his fit into Kyle Shanahan's offense heading into the season. To start out, I want to look at a role the 28-year-old wide receiver can fill the entire season for San Francisco, and that's as a deep threat option. As I was alluding to earlier, he's an athletic freak, which allows him to just blow by a defense on simple streak patterns. To really highlight this point, on this play, he's essentially just running a streak against this DB. He has a little bit of movement right here, gets the DB to jump, and at that point, his athleticism takes over, and if this was thrown maybe a little bit better, he wouldn't have to slow down, and it would have been a touchdown. Maybe my favorite part about Equanimeous St. Brown, though, is he realizes just how deadly he can be over the top, and how much fear that puts into defensive backs. This allows him to pull out double moves that look like he's going to go ahead and transition into a streak pattern before finally breaking into his route. To really highlight this point, on this play, Equanimeous St. Brown is running a comeback. But if I'm the defensive back, first it looks like he's trying to fake like he's breaking back to the ball and then looking to go over the top on me. And at that point, I turn my hips and then he comes back hard on this little comeback. It's so challenging to respond to his change of direction and speed he possesses. And I love once he gets the ball in his hands, he's looking to score on this play. He really runs hard like everyone else on San Francisco's team. Another reason I think St. Brown will find a lot of success in Kyle Shanahan's offense is when you turn on the tape, you see several routes Kyle Shanahan routinely pulls out that Equanimeous St. Brown can execute at a high level. To illustrate this point in his deep routes, here running a deep crosser for instance, you can see how much separation he's able to create between him and this defensive back, and then he lays out for this ball and makes the excellent catch on the sideline. Maybe more importantly for St. Brown initially in San Francisco's offense though, is his ability as a complete wide receiver, and this means executing both the short, intermediate, and deep routes. And when healthy in the NFL, he looks like a wide receiver that can truly do everything on the field. Here, for instance, he's running a little simple slant pattern with this defensive back closing in on him hard, and with him being absolutely brutally hit by this defensive back, I love his ability to actually hold on to this ball. And honestly, as much as I love his ability to unlock the deep part in San Francisco's offense, I think his hands are even better. To really illustrate this, on this play, he's running a quick out against this defensive back. First, I do want to focus on his route though. He does an excellent job of turning this defensive back in a weird position to flip his hips on this out pattern, and once there, even with this defensive back all over him, he does a great job of hauling this in on the sideline. I mean, when you look at this again, there's not really anything else this defensive back could have done. I mean, he's all over him, has his hand right there, but St. Brown still makes the play. In a similar way on this play, I want to focus on St. Brown's ability to bring down this catch, but this time on an intermediate route. Specifically on this play, he's running like an intermediate crosser. And initially, he does an excellent job of creating separation between him and this backer, but this corner does an excellent job of actually identifying him entering his zone. But despite the corner getting there at near perfect time and this pass being behind his back and him having to jump in there, basically making an acrobatic catch, somehow he's still able to bring it down. His ability to bring down these like clutch catches reminds me of Jauan Jennings in a way. To really illustrate the ice running through his veins, on this play, it's 3rd and 10 with him running a dig on this defensive back in man coverage. And first, look at how much separation he's able to create by breaking it so hard. I mean, he's able to really stop on a dime, and at this point going over the middle, we know probably he's going to bring it down. Not only does he have an insane frame, I mean he's 6'5", but also, like we've already seen on his film so far, he's just such a strong player and isn't afraid of contact whatsoever. I also think his relative athleticism and size should make him a red zone threat for San Francisco, especially when you throw in his speed and other weapons on the field. I mean, I don't think many people are going to expect St. Brown to score many touchdowns. but I think he can. Another part of St. Brown's game I think will be extremely beneficial to Kyle Shanahan's offense is just how smart of a player he is. Here on this play, for instance, he can tell the defense is running zone coverage, so rather than keep running while the quarterback is scrambling, he finds a soft spot in the zone, sits down, and makes himself a friendly target. Then once he does catch it, like I mentioned earlier, he does a great job with the ball in his hands, and he's looking to score the touchdown right here, and because of his athleticism, he nearly does. Another really underappreciated part about St. Brown's game is his ability to be an extremely versatile player in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I truly believe he can be used as an offensive weapon. One thing he can do, for instance, is being motioned on jet sweeps, take the ball, and then turn it into a massive gain. Here, for instance, going against the Texans, he does just that, even with this defender in the backfield, and then deep down the field, I love his ability to navigate, break a tackle, and continue to pick up extra yardage. I think early on in the season, this skill is going to be vital, especially if players like Ricky Pearsall miss more time than expected. Maybe more importantly than all of these skills I've mentioned so far heading into Kyle Shanahan's offense though, is his ability to block. And I think honestly, Kyle Shanahan might have signed him just on this ability alone. I mean, last year, for instance, with the Saints, they primarily used him as a blocking wide receiver, and here, going against the Lions, you really get to see why. He does an excellent job of down blocking on 32, is able to execute a hook block, and really seals off this running lane for Justin Fields. It's also worth noting that St. Brown's presence won't only be felt on the offensive side of the ball, but he should also be able to contribute to Brant Boyer's special teams unit, as that's where he's made his money over the last couple of years in the league. But with all these positives being noted about the 28-year-old 6'5" wide receiver, there are some concerns to his game, with probably the biggest in my opinion being his injury history. Seemingly every single time he's about to break out, an injury hampers his development. It's also worth noting, over the last couple of years, we've seen his role be relegated to more like a blocker and special teams player, but I still think he has the skills necessary to be effective in Shanahan's system, especially with all the opportunities seemingly coming his way. I mean, heading into training camp tomorrow, he honestly could be San Francisco's third wide receiver after Demarcus Robinson and Jordan Watkins. And to start the season, I really wouldn't be surprised to see him move up San Francisco's depth chart and contribute early on. I mean, heading into the season, San Francisco will definitely be without Demarcus Robinson and Brandon Ayuk early. Maybe Juwan Jennings tries to hold out if he doesn't get a contract. And there's also the question about Ricky Pearsall's injury. While San Francisco envisions him being ready soon, that was a similar narrative we heard about Christian McCaffrey last year. So heading into the season, I do expect St. Brown to make the 53-man roster and maybe even have a career year. But now I want to hear your thoughts about San Francisco signing Equanimeous St. Brown and what you think are realistic expectations for him heading into the season. I mean, he does have a ton of opportunities, but he does need to take advantage of those opportunities. And if you did enjoy this video, it would mean a ton if you could like and subscribe. It truly helps out a ton. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.